I talk a lot about not being a boss, but being a leader. And I believe that knowing your Colby and knowing your team's Colbys really can help you much more lean into being a leader and empowering your people, as opposed to here's a task, do it. That's what lights me up about this work. It's just so fun to see the ahas and to see them come together. Whenever I do a program, I always have 3 goals. It's to unite the team, to engage the team so they can grow.
Welcome to Powered by Instinct, a podcast for professionals who think about how your fundamental nature drives performance. If you're interested in getting more done more naturally, then let's jump in.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Powered by Instinct podcast. I'm Eric Herrera, our VP of Sales. And today I want to welcome our special guest, Kari. That's right, Kari, just like Ferrari. And she's a strategic business coach, and she's really integrated Colby into her practice in some incredible ways. And so we're going to talk to her about that. We're going to learn a little bit more about her and her background, all that fun stuff. But I just want to say welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is always such an honor.
Yeah, and obviously, right, on the Powered by Instinct podcast, we want to figure out what's everybody's MO. So as a quick reminder, I'm a 5392. And then Kari, what's your MO?
I'm a 6482.
All right, perfect. So you're a 6482. Tell us about the impact it had in your life when you learned that that's what your strengths were.
Oh my gosh, so much. I think my whole life, I think people have we're not really sure what to do with her. And I know my parents are like that. And so, sometimes I always thought, gosh, I wish I could just be more like them. And why am I like this? And now I'm like, oh, those are my superpowers. As an example, because I'm a 6482, I'm a business owner and I have a lower follow through, or I have a 4. So I'm in the react zone, right? So I need a little help there. And so one of the things that I learned, it was so funny. I had an organizational person come in and help me with my office, and we found 17 day planners. And we were like, what is going on here? She's like, why? And she looked at it, she's like, there's 3 days filled out in every single one of them, and then they're blank. And then I was, she kind of talked to me, and I'm like, here I am, the Colby. She's like, when are you going to embrace that that's not how your brain works? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's a really good example of just kind of wow, yeah, it's okay that I'm a 4. I can still be a successful business owner as a 4, but I have learned that I have to build support, around me. I have a wonderful assistant, and I have systems that are easy to follow and very flexible. I think initiating in quick start for me, again, that's not the only thing I am is initiating quick start, but I think one of the things that has really helped me as a business owner is that because I'm not so worried about the how with the follow through, sometimes I just try things. And I find that sometimes other consultants, they're so worried about being perfect or worried about, oh, do I have everything? Do I know everything? I have the luxury of being a quick start and initiating there. So I don't have to know everything before I start. It's just kind of I go and I wing it and see what happens and what doesn't. And to me, the open architecture of Colby just really helps me with my Colby, because it does give me so much freedom to innovate and to have new ideas and to try things. You guys give us a wonderful structure, but then I can experiment and play, which is a huge core value of mine. So I think Colby is such like I said, it's like the missing puzzle piece for my puzzle. I feel like it was something that really completed me as a person. So for me, knowing my strengths and knowing that, my uniqueness is actually strengths, that was really very validating for me.
Yeah, and you touched on it a little bit when you were talking about some of your follow through strengths. And sometimes people want to use their Colby results as an excuse, right? I'm a 3 in follow through. So even more so than you, I don't follow systems and processes. I kind of make it up as I go, and I follow, I change things as needed. But the thing is, the work still has to get done.
It does.
Right? I still need to show up for meetings on time. I still need to be prepared. I just have to do it in a different way than many other people would do it. And so regardless of what your 4 numbers are, it's not an excuse.
No.
You still have to get this stuff done. Just we're giving you the framework or the path for how to get it done in a way that works for you.
Absolutely. And again, I have had to really lean into my Colby. And also, I always talk about, for every positive strength, there's a shadow side to every strength as well, right? And so, we all have to manage our MOs. And so because I do initiate and quick start, I have to be careful sometimes in meetings because I can steamroll. I can have too many ideas and derail the whole meeting. And so we do have to I think that's the power of Colby is now I understand that I can do that. So I have to be careful and I do have to manage my MO in a way that serves everybody, not just me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know that you're doing some kind of high level coaching with business owners. So tell us a little bit more about the coaching that you do.
So I'm very fortunate. I get to work in the small business owner world. I specialize more in the finance area, in the financial, but I also have different clients that I get through referrals. And so I don't just specialize there, but I do get to work with small to medium business owners. And I love it because my goal is to help support them to build a team around them so they can entrepreneur the way they need to. And, according to their Colby. And, it's so amazing for me when I see an owner who really, when they light up and go, oh, I can do this, right? Oh, those are my strengths. I can do this. And then we also say, okay, how can we support you best by building that team around you? And so as I work with business owners, I use Colby as a door opener to my consulting services. The first thing I do is make sure I do somebody's Colby A. So if I meet a business owner on a plane and we talk and I'm like, I'll send you a Colby. And so we do that. And then once we do the interpretation, it's kind of like, who's not going to love it, right? And so then we talk about what can we do with their teams. And that usually leads to me doing A's and B's for their entire team. Then we do a team debrief. And then I come in and do an on-site workshop or program designed to integrate Colby with their team. And then that is kind of the foundation for all my other consulting. And so from there, I might do leadership coaching. I might do a strategic summit with the team to really say, okay, what do we want to focus on for the year? And who are the strengths and who's going to help get this done? And then also sales coaching. And I also help with hiring and firing and interviewing and building teams. Another thing is really, I didn't realize how much it would come into play due to Colby, but communication. It's really teaching the team how to communicate. And I just did an amazing on-site with 25 people, and the leaders are all initiating quick starts. But then most of the team are more initiating fact finders, initiating follow-throughs. And there was a lot of disconnects. And so it was amazing to see the ahas and really exciting to see the leaders go, oh, okay, we get it now. So that's really fun for me. But for me, my focus again is working with the small businesses to empower them to get back to what they love doing, the business owners, and then building a team and empowering their team around that. I talk a lot about not being a boss, but being a leader. And I believe that knowing your Colby and knowing your team's Colbys really can help you much more lean into being a leader and empowering your people as opposed to here's a task, do it. And so to me, that's what lights me up about this work. It's just so fun to see the ahas and to see them come together. Whenever I do a program, I always have 3 goals. It's to unite the team, to engage the team so they can grow. And so for me, that's kind of the premise of everything that I do. And so that's been really successful. And I'm so excited. I actually have, I'm very big about putting things out in the universe and manifesting. And I said I wanted to have a global company. And so I'm really excited that I now have international clients. I work with people in Luxembourg, London, Singapore, Thailand, Ireland, Australia. And it's just been a ball. And I love it. And I think the really unique thing about Colby, there's not too many businesses that are literally universal and can help any human. And that's how I feel about Colby. Like, we can work with literally any human. So I think that gives us a really good, broad business model. And I love that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the blessing sometimes, because to get every business, it doesn't matter if it's literally one person or it's hundreds of thousands of people. The magic inside of that company is the people, right? And all of the amazing stuff that they do to make that machine work really effectively. And so that's the positive side of it. Sometimes a bit of the challenge is because, as you said, right, we literally can help 8 billion people if we wanted to, but
There's just not enough of us.
yes, and like you and I, we can kind of get shiny object syndrome and bounce around a
Yes.
little bit.
Yes.
So trying to narrow our focus, like I know, like you said, right, you kind of found a niche in the financial services, financial advisor world. If you can find that area where, hey, I'm really good and I really know stuff in this industry, in this geography, whatever it is, and you really dig into that, while yes, you can venture outside of that, sometimes you'll be more effective by, again, kind of honing your focus and becoming the expert in that one area.
Absolutely. And I feel, they always say the riches are in the niches, right? And so I didn't grow up and, know when I was little that I wanted to do this. It was just something that kind of happened and I gravitated into this space. And I have a very niche business, but I do have wonderful clients that also refer me. So now I work with real estate. I work with accounting firms. I mean, it's really fun. And I love to go outside the main industry because I learned so much. And so it's been really fun. And again, it's the great thing about Colby is it's super flexible, and that open architecture really allows me to grow my business my way. And so next year, I don't know who I'm going to work with, but I'm really excited about it. And whatever they need, I can work it out. And so that's the fun part for me. I have to say the Colby team is so amazing and responsive. Like yesterday, I had some stuff going on with the software on my end, and they immediately got back to me. And just having that support and being able to use the software to deliver the reports and show the initiating fact finders out there the data behind it, and really help with a one picture dashboard, of like our strengths matrix, all of that. For the initiating quick starts and counteracting follow throughs, they need that one page. There's so many tools that allow me to be able to bring a lot of value with what I do around Colby. But again, to me, Colby's just the door opener to so many other things. But at the end of it's really the foundation of it all, because everything kind of comes back to, are you communicating right? Are you thriving? Are you in the right seat on the bus, doing the right job in the right way? Are you thriving or surviving? And that's really what we talk about. One of the things that I'm always coaching about is, if we work for 30 years for 40 hours a week, that's around 80,000 hours. And my mission in life is to help make those 80,000 really awesome. And Colby allows me to do that because we kind of have this, combination to the safe on communication. And so I think, if you think about it, no matter what you sell, no matter what you do, communication and relationships is the business. And so, having Colby and being able to do that is such a superpower. And I love that.
Yeah. And, I know you had an existing practice before you kind of plugged Colby into it. Once you plugged Colby in, what did that growth trajectory look like?
Oh, wow, I had no idea. I thought, I would dabble in it. It would just be another arrow in my quiver, so to speak. Had no idea. I now almost have two whole businesses. I have one that is Colby and one that is my consulting practice. They definitely integrate, but I had no idea. So about 2 years, I guess, right when we were coming out of COVID, I put out my intention that I wanted to create another pipeline of revenue that kind of was a bolt on to what I was currently doing. If COVID taught us anything, it's we need to be ready to pivot because we don't know what's coming. And I thought, I have one big client, and although I do have a diversified practice, I do have one very large client. And if that goes away, whoa, what am I going to do, right? So for me, I wanted to diversify my revenue pipeline, but also go deeper with my clients and bring more value for my large client. And that's what this has allowed me to do. And I'm happy to say that in 2 years, I now make, another 6 figures plus just on Colby. And so it has allowed me to, also, financial freedom. It's allowed me to really be able to invest back in my company. And it's just been an incredible lift to my business, revenue wise, but also opportunity wise, because I have such an amazing offering that I've, to be honest, it's very, very few and far between where I get told, no, I don't want to do Colby. I mean, everyone's like, of course I do. So it's really fun. I always joke, my assistant, a lot of times I fly, I'm flying a lot. So I get upgraded to first class. And she's like, you got to stop flying in first class. You keep on finding new clients. And she's like, you got to stop. So it's a lot of fun.
And I know, kind of on both sides of your business, you work sometimes with individuals, sometimes you work with teams. What are some of the differences in how you approach it or how you do your thing with individuals versus when you're working with a group?
Well, the first thing I do when I'm coaching an individual is obviously do their Colby, because that really, sets the stage for that. Same thing with a team. And it's really, I think the first thing is I'm very customized with my coaching. So I don't know whether it's a leadership person that maybe hasn't found their voice yet, things like that. I work very one-on-one with them to kind of help their self-limiting beliefs and things. But the first thing we always start with is Colby, so they can really understand their strengths. And then are they applying those strengths? Are they using those strengths to the best of their ability? And then we also incorporate a lot of the strategic coach, issues about like the unique ability grid. Like, are you focusing on and doing what only you can do and what you rock at? And really helping them stay kind of above the line into their unique ability. That's something that I'm a big proponent of doing that. But and then far as teams, it's really, again, I think the biggest thing I do is help them understand each other. And then with understanding, they learn about each other. And with that knowledge comes power, because then you can make better decisions and you can support each other better. And I feel, I do a lot of sales coaching. And understanding not only your Colby, but your team's Colby, but understanding the behaviors for the different strengths that are, the more I work with clients, they kind of learn like, oh, okay, if they're asking for agendas and they want it, they always have a checklist. And, that's someone that's initiating and follow through. You need to lean into that. Right. And so understanding that it's not just for you, it can also help with your partner. It can help understanding your clients. If you're working with someone who is, not a initiating fact finder, but more an initiating quick start, that's a much different meeting, right? And so really helping empower them to understand their clients better so that they have a better outcome. So whether it's one-on-one or team, it really all starts with Colby. And then it's very customized on what they want to do. But usually it's either for the one-on-one, it's to help them find their voice in whatever it is they want, in their leadership, in their company, and the team, the same thing. They kind of have to find their collective voice together. And that's what I help with.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on it and you mentioned it in different ways as you were just describing how you work with your clients. But whether you're a leader, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're just a person on a team, the process is kind of the same, right? Like, you need to understand yourself. How do you naturally do stuff? Then understand and appreciate those around you who may have different strengths, and then figure out, how do we work together, right? Because we can create amazing things as a group. It's hard to go and create really huge things all by yourself. And so when I'm working with clients, I always kind of start with the foundation of, we have different strengths. That's awesome. Appreciate that. Then let's create kind of a common mission, a common vision. What are we trying to get done? And then from there, we can start to adjust our style to the other person. Again, if you think about it as a leader, you absolutely have to do that with your team, because hitting people over the head isn't going to get the results that you want.
And
right?
just
That's
because you
not-
say to do it, I think one of the biggest things that a lot of my leaders don't understand is that it's not just telling your staff or your team what to do. It's why. Why is it important? And I think that is a big thing that gets left out a lot. We're all so busy. We're so in go, 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 go. We're so reactive. Everything's, all these new ideas and constantly trying to grow. But if I feel like if we can equip our teams with the why, it really helps make them impassioned and unites them for that common goal. And one thing you touched on, to me, understanding core values is so important. And I think the cool thing about Colby is it aligns with my core values so much. Empowerment is one of my core values. And so courageous authenticity is another one of my values. And so connection and collaboration, these are things that Colby does nothing but fuel the fire for. So I think that's another reason why I have had such success with Colby, because it is so aligned with who I am.
Yeah. And so, we've been talking about, people with different strengths and how you got to adjust your communication style. Let's say you're working with two separate clients. One client, the entrepreneur, is a 2288, and the other client, the other entrepreneur, is an 8822. How much do you really vary your approach when you're working with those two business owners?
Oh, a lot. For that 2288, I've got to hire, someone who initiates an implementer, and they've got that co-action. And so I'm probably going to want to have them, get up and write and do things on the board and be more kinesthetic in what they do, right? They're going to be more worried about the quality of things. They're going to, and then also they're going to want to create something new and challenging and unique, and that's never been. So I have to keep what I'm doing new and challenging and unique and fun. I can't, I have to realize how much they can process also. So if I'm working with someone who's an initiating, quick start, and someone who's a 2 in follow through, and I give them, 15 to-dos, that's not good. I have to help them focus. Whereas if I'm working with the 8822, they're going to probably want the research and the data that shows why this works. And they're going to want to process. They're going to want an agenda for our call. They're going to want to know, what's the process? What are we doing next time? How far are we? What have we checked off today? When is this due? It's a totally different vibe and energy, really. And leaning into that, I can then decrease frustration and help open. They will trust me more as a coach if I get them. They will feel, oh, she gets me. I can share everything. If they feel misunderstood, they're going to be like, wait a minute, like, why are you coaching me? You don't even get me. And so for me to be able to really understand what I love about Colby, and I'm such a geek about it. I so get passionate. It's so prescriptive. And I always do the A's and the B's. And it is amazing to me to go, okay, I can literally tell what is going on without even seeing this person. Like, I can see, okay, there's not enough, they're having to operate and move quicker and faster than they want to. And things like that. So it's just such a elegant system, because those numbers are, I haven't ever had anyone come to me and go, that's not me at all. I mean, it's more like, oh my God, you see me. And so that's so empowering. And it's really fun to do that. So would I approach a 2288 differently than an 8822? You betcha. One thing I do find, I find this a lot in my leadership, and especially with females, is that if they initiate in fact finder, and then they're more of a counteract in the quick start, sometimes they don't want to be wrong in any meeting, so they will be more quiet. Now, I'm not generalizing and saying that everyone does that, but I do find a lot. And so one of the things that I offer there is to say, even if you don't know the answer, your 8822 or whatever it is brings a valuable perspective with your questions. Even if you don't know the answers, don't not speak up because of that. It's like painting a beautiful picture but missing a color. It's like you gotta add your perspective. So even if you don't know the answers, that's okay. Your questions are so valuable because of the different perspective that you bring to the table. And so just understanding that, someone's Colby might, I don't know, they might be thinking more internally, where I process outwardly because of my Colby, right? And so I would invite them to say, there might be a way to use that voice and still remain true to your 8822, right? So these are the things that I work on.
Yeah,
I don't know. I may have gotten a little deep there. Sorry.
It's all good. Now, Yeah, you kind of reminded me of something. So folks like you and I, 7, 8, 9, 10s in Quick Start, we're often described as we think with our mouths open, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's just stuff starts flying out. Sometimes they're amazing ideas, sometimes they're not so good ideas, but either way, let's get it out first and let's start to figure
I
it
always
out. So,
the way I say that is we think outwardly, and it's like trying on clothes. We're going to try them all on, but we don't buy them all, right? We just try them on because we got to see how they fit, and that's what our ideas are to us. Whereas someone who's more maybe in the initiating and fact finder, they might internally process, and they may seem quiet in a meeting, but their brain's going just as fast as mine. It's just internal conversation. Whereas and again, if you are a counteracting quick start, you may not want to voice your opinion for fear of it's not perfect, it's not right, it's not, you don't know. And for me, as someone who initiates and quick, I don't care if I'm wrong. Maybe my bad idea will give you a good idea. So it's so amazing to see that different perspective, that what comes so naturally and easy to me and doesn't bother me at all might actually send someone else into, a cold sweat. And so being aware of that is so important. And I do find that my leaders go, "Oh, I had no idea that stressed her out or, really made him upset, or, they really had no idea because they see the world through their Colby lens." So,
yeah, absolutely. Are there any challenges that you see that all leaders face regardless of MO?
oof, communicating the why. I feel like all of us, if we own a company or lead a team, it's almost like we have gladiators that are suited up and ready to go fight for us. And yeah, they'll fight if they're put in the ring. But if they know what they're fighting for and why it's important, they're going to be passionate, and they're going to be there to just, they're going to become warriors in that way. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that I would tell any business leader or team leader, is that the more you can share about why this is important and how it impacts people and why this decision or this project is important, it really fuels that passion to get it done. It's not just here's a task, do it. It's here, this actually helps, our clients live better lives, or we can save somebody, money here, and that would mean a lot to their family and their legacy, or whatever it is in whatever, market that we do. But just understanding the big why, I think that's an overarching need that I think sometimes business owners and team leaders get so busy with the day to day and the quick, we got to go, go, go. They forget to bring their team along with them. They know the why in their head. They have the curse of knowledge, but not the team may not understand that because they're each in their own little silos. And so I think that is something that's overarching, that I find pretty much universally. Another thing is communication within teams. No matter how much wonderful software you have, a lot of times one hand might not know what the other is doing. And you really have to keep it simple. If they're checking 5, 6, 7 different, they've got CRM, Slack, email, Teams, project Slacks, whatever it is, there's a lot going on there. So I think that really figuring out less is more in that way is better for me. I mean, I just feel like sometimes we're asking our people to do a lot and they don't understand that because they're not in the trenches doing the day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. And, not surprisingly, the two of us have been kind of speaking in broad generalities, right? About some of the cool stuff that we've done and how we've helped people. Let's dig in a little bit and be a little bit more specific. Do you have one particular client success story that kind of pops to the top of your head that you can share with us?
Oh, one that I love because it's kind of very different for me. I worked with a company that was a truck company, and the entrepreneur was an 8 in implementer, and he initiated an implementer for a CEO, which I don't find that a lot in the industries that I work with. And he was really struggling. He's like, "I don't think I'm cut out to be a CEO." And I'm like, "Why would you say that?" He's like, "Well, I just don't think like everybody else. I don't, everyone else is, doing this and this and this." And that's when I say you're kind of shoulding all over yourself. Like, I should be this way, I should be that way. And so we really talked about what he loves and what lights him up. And one of the things that as a CEO, he wasn't able to be on the tarmac anymore with the guys in the trucks and fixing the stuff and, very implementer stuff, right? And so what I did was I said, you know what? I'm going to prescribe that you spend 3 hours a week out on the tarmac in your coveralls with your guys, fixing stuff, doing stuff. Go do what you love. And instead of constantly being on Zoom, get up, go move into the office, go talk to somebody there, or travel. Go get on a plane, go be in person to some of your most important clients. And so once we started doing that, he was so much happier. And he's like, I can do this. And it was just like we had to remember to align it with what his loves are and what his strengths are. Another thing in that company, we found that the director of compliance and the director of safety were literally in the wrong seats. And they were both miserable. Their Colby B's were just completely misaligned. So all I did, and after a 30-minute call, I said, I think we should switch them. And we did. And 6 months later, happy, A's doing great, loving life. Oh my God, we should have thought of this ourselves. And it was just literally because Colby is so prescriptive, we just took the director of compliance and the director of safety and we switched them. They were in the wrong seats and it was that simple. So that's a really favorite case study of mine. I have a million. I've got, father-son stories. I've got partners that were completely different stories. But it's amazing that it really comes down to, are you being true to your Colby? Are you using your strengths and doing things your way? And I think that, the gift that Kathy Kolbe gave all of us is that Colby really allows us to understand what that is and that it's okay to be an 8 implementer CEO. We may have to build systems and support to help us to do that because we may not be initiating in other things, or we might need to, create a support structure to help us. But we can all, again, just like she says, just because we show up most naturally in 4 doesn't mean we can't do the other strengths. We can automate, delegate, we can surround ourselves to help lift us up and do what we love in our Colby way.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about what I get to do is we touch basically every industry, every size of company. And so I get to poke around and see inside all of those various ones. And it's never done just one way, right? Kind of to your point, I've seen CEOs who grew and founded a $100 million business that are 2288 and some that are 8822 and everywhere in between, because they figured out how to really lean into their superpower and say, all right, if I focus on doing what I'm really amazing at and then build the network, the team, the structure around me to fill in those gaps, now we can all be successful.
Yeah. And so again, I think it's just doing it your way. And, understanding your Colby is the first start of doing that. And I think there's so many people that, especially in my world, that were really great salespeople. Then all of a sudden they became a company owner and they never had training on how to deal with people. They never had training on how to run a company. And then all of a sudden they get so tied up in the people and the running the company, they don't get to sell anymore. They're not even talking to clients anymore. And so then they're like, well, this isn't so much fun running this company. And so I love the fact that I can help put the fun back in their life and help them to do their unique ability and build a team around them to support them to do that. And Colby allows me to do that.
All right. So during the podcast, we always like to recap it, or I like to call it lessons learned, right? Like we've been talking for, I don't know, roughly 30 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I want to, again, kind of encapsulate it, wrap everything up. So, if you were going to give advice to other coaches, other consultants, as far as using Colby, growing their practice, what's the best piece of advice you would give them?
Again, I think using Colby as that door opener, as that foundation is so key. Again, because it is universally, as long as you have a human that you're talking to or that you work with, Colby can help. One thing I do find is that, like, at first I was so excited about Colby, I could Colby all over somebody, and I'm sure they were like, oh, wow. And so when I spoke at ColbyCon, one of the things I said is don't scare the deer. And so that's something that I use with my kids from a very small age. It's like, don't be so like, oh my God, you can totally do Colby with everything. Just more really, instead of jumping on them with Colby, talk to them about what Colby can do, then start asking questions. What do they need? What are their pain points? who's on their team, things. And then, you know, the best way for me to develop an engagement is to do their Colby. And it's okay to give away a Colby. And here's my thing, that $50 or whatever it is to do a Colby A is such a lost leader. So because by getting that, here's the thing, if they don't engage you, you can charge them the $50. If they do engage you, that A can be rolled into, some of my engagements are $30,000-$40,000. I really don't care about the $50 A, right? And you have to think of like also as ongoing lifetime client span, right? And so I think that was the first thing at first, like, oh, I don't know if they're going to do something. That's $50. I'm not worried about that. That is the best money I can spend to help get that engagement. And I think a lot of people go, oh, well, I do Colby, you should hire me. And I think don't go that fast. I think it's really more first talk about Colby, what you do, the problems that you solve in whatever your capacity that you do, and then let's do your A and let's talk. You don't have to sell them on the engagement that first time you meet them. Your next goal is to get on that call so that you can learn more and do their Colby. And so for me, that would be something. I think at first I might have Colby'd people a little hard. And so, because I was so excited about it, and now I just have to kind of be like, okay, back off. And also just, I learned a lot of business things like, I always do half up front so that my Colbys are paid for and I don't carry that interest on my credit card. Right. And so just, there's some business things to consider too. It doesn't, I think I have so many high or initiating fact finder and follow through consultants that come up to me and go, well, how do you charge? And what do you do? And how do you, and I'm like, one page. It doesn't have to be, a 17-page proposal. It's just a 1-page fee structure. Here are the deliverables and here's how much it costs. Phase 1, phase 2, break it down, make it easy. So don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. I think is key. And then keep trying new things. Every time I do a workshop, I throw in something new or do it in a different way. And I have fun with it and see what works. And it's amazing the stuff that comes out of it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen, but that was really great. And so have fun with it. I think that's one of the biggest things is don't take yourself so seriously. You will figure it out. Just try. And the more you do, the more you're going to get more comfortable with it. And do it in your way. I think a lot of people, like, obviously, I'm an initiating quick start and I have a very extroverted personality. I can go talk to a wall and sell ice cubes to Eskimos, but not everybody has to have my personality. You do Colby in your own way. And, I think there's a lot of people that have different Colbys that might, be better at some things than I am. And that's, and they're going to thrive there. Some people are way more organized than I am. And that's something that they might want to coach to or lean into, again, based on your Colby. So one of the things based on my Colby, I'm a motivator. I get everyone excited. I walk in with a lot of great energy, and that's one of my gifts. And I am very experimental and playful because of my Colby. But there's lots of ways to do this business. And so don't should all over yourself that I should do it this way or should do it your way, because your way is going to be awesome. It's going to be special in your own unique way. And the cool thing about Colby open architecture is each one of us we get to entrepreneur in our own way. And I love that. And that's the freedom that Colby gives you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So don't should all over yourself.
Don't should all over yourself.
Do it in your own way. Perfect. Yeah. So we're going to wrap this up, but I'm sure there's some folks that want to reach out to you and maybe they have some questions. Maybe they'd love to partner with you, something like that. Where should they connect with you?
The best way to get me is to email me at Kari, Kari, at gc3c.com. Or you can reach out to my assistant, Jillian, at gc3c.com. And my phone number is 501-952-0998. I'm pretty open. You can text me, call me, DM me on LinkedIn. I get a lot of those. So people are like, hey, let's connect. So for me, I absolutely love collaborating with other Colby people. I have amazing people in my tribe that I look to as other coaches. I learn from other people in other ways. I love that. I think one of the best gifts that Colby can give me is now I have a tribe of me's out there that get the Colby. We all have growth-minded, we're very like-minded, we're growth-minded, empowering, and we get it. And so for me, that's really fun that we can collaborate as a group. And I welcome talking to anybody. And I think that a lot of times, someone might call me to learn something, but I'm going to actually learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as she said, right, she is a wealth of knowledge. She's happy to help. So if you have something, definitely reach out. If you have not taken your Kolbe A yet, obviously that's the place to start, right? That's
oh my gosh, please take your Kolbe A.
Yeah.
You will thank your future self. I mean, you got to do it. And it may sound hyperbolic or whatever, but it will change your life for the better, because knowledge is power. And I truly believe that. And once you really, know thyself, right? Once you really get your Kolbe and understand that, then you are so much more passionate about taking that out to other people. And again, it's like cracking the code to a safe, to yourself and then to other people. And I love that about Kolbe.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you haven't taken your Kolbe A yet, make sure you do that. You can connect with Kari. She will help you out. Or go to Kolbe.com, click that purple button in the upper right-hand corner. But again, Kari, I want to say thank you for joining us. To the audience, we'll see you next time.
All right. Well, rock on.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Powered by Instinct. This show is brought to you by Colby Corp, a company that helps leaders and organizations thrive using the only instinctive strengths assessment on the market. If you enjoyed this episode, then follow Powered by Instinct wherever you get your favorite podcasts, or join us online at Kolbe.com/podcast for all the latest episodes.